So, welcome everyone to another episode of The Creative Minds. Joining me here today is Gil Petersil. So, Gil, can you tell us more about yourself, like who you are? Actually, I came across you a couple of years ago in Dubai, and then I kind of started following you on Instagram. I don't want to say much about you, but I would love it if you could introduce yourself.
So that's always the hardest question to answer. I think it's the hardest question to answer for most people,
Mm,
but for me specifically, because I see myself as someone who tries to help others and
mm,
train others on how to introduce themselves. And,
mm,
because there are so many different audiences that might be listening to this
mm,
today. And my answer could be more connected to, my background and what I've done and where I'm from and the fact that I'm a father with three kids. My answer could be connected to what I'm currently doing, what my mission is, or my vision is, or the projects I'm involved in. So anyone that's listening, even myself, as someone who's been remarked in media as a networking guru, even
mm.
myself, I have a problem answering that same
Yeah.
question. Describe yourself, introduce yourself. But I would say,
Mm,
you know, if I took 30 seconds or so to do that, I would say that as a serial entrepreneur for more than 20 years, I have had so many different successful failures that I've learned that it's a part of the journey.
mm,
And I've had this absolute pleasure to share the stages and to build relationships with people who I saw as mentors and as my gurus for so many years.
mm,
Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle, Jay Abraham, Keith Ferrazzi. And what I've done with all that, I've allowed them into my heart. I've opened up my mind and everything else to them to rub off on me and allow me to become a speaker, an author, a mentor for many others. And
mm,
my passion and niche is very much in the world that's connected to relationship
mm,
connections. Human networking
mm,
is where I spend a lot of my time studying the arts and sciences of it. And I work with a lot of different organizations and entrepreneurs around the world that want to understand, how do you scale a company being more mindful in the way the network is actually structured, or
mm.
how do you raise the right funding or attract the right strategic partnerships or attract the right mentors or investors without sweating too much, just doing it authentically, doing it ethically, and doing with a methodology that's been proven it works. It's just not really taught in schools.
Yeah. That's very interesting because it's very rarely that you have people talking about this. It's such I find it's a niche scope compared to other scopes that you've come across. So can you elaborate more on that? So you want to help people communicate more authentically and get to be more ethical in the way that they approach people and do things for the right reasons. But what does that mean? How can one be that person? What methodology that you mentioned earlier on worked for you?
Yeah, it's such a good way of looking at it because it's a topic that's misunderstood by so
Mm,
many.
mm,
It's a topic that is like the idea of networking for many people is just going to an event, exchanging business cards. It's very shallow.
yeah.
But if we think about it, the depth of it really, what out there is more important than the art, the depth of networking, because you
Mm,
can network with yourself and connect with yourself and go deeper. You
mm,
can connect with the universe or God, spiritually, religiously, and just go very, very higher level to wherever you feel. You can connect deeper with loved ones, with family, with friends. You can move countries to suddenly build a new network.
mm,
You can change industries where you have to change a new network. You could be forced to leave your country and you have to start from zero, like it happens sometimes with wars. Something can happen to you and suddenly, health wise, and you can't get out of bed
mm,
for a few months, and you have to be able to still connect with human beings to get something done.
mm,
And what I have experienced myself, I was born introvert, and I've been an immigrant since the age of 10. I
mm,
started my life in Israel, and
mm,
for the first 10 years, that's where I lived.
mm,
And then I did many years in Canada, in England, in Russia, in Singapore. And every time I've moved countries, I had to relaunch myself.
mm,
So many people come to me when they are in that position. They need to relaunch themselves. Hey, Gil, I've just moved countries. I got my family, I got my business. I don't know anyone. I don't have any friends. I'm looking for mentors. I'm looking to connect. Or Gil, I've just moved from the food industry into the mobile app industry. And I'm looking to connect with more strategic partners and investors and show up at the right events so I can connect with people in the mobile app industry. And I've done that. I've moved from the food industry really to the mobile app industry. And I was like, wow, it's a brand new industry. I don't know anyone and I need to build a new network. Now, you can expedite that. It doesn't need to take you years. I've learned that there's a lot of hacks and methodologies that can be utilized to build a network faster, to build a trust faster, to be able to surround yourself with a group of mentors or to join the right association, the right club, or ideally join the right mastermind. And if whoever is listening right now is open to understand that, hey, this concept of human networking, which is by far one of the most complex, educational programs that anyone could study, because there's so much complexity to how we speak to people, to how we introduce ourselves to people, to how we follow up with people online or offline, to how we brand ourselves online or offline, how we introduce ourselves. You know, I would introduce myself differently every single time, or even more, how do we introduce others? All of these aspects of networking, and there is more, have levels of mastery that I'm still a student in. And I know if I'm a student in, I know that majority of the people that I meet at a very, very low level. And I'm not saying this to criticize people. I'm saying to them, this should be exciting to you that you're doing already so well in your life. Imagine if you got better at the way you introduce yourself. Imagine if there was hacks of you walking into an event and suddenly you feel confident to connect with people. Imagine if you're sick and tired of your job and there's a couple of simple steps that you can take to change your job and move away from that, or change your countries, or change your relationships. And because as an introvert and as an immigrant since the age of 10, and as an entrepreneur who's wanted to change to more than 20 different companies and more than 10 different industries, I've had to practice on my own. So I went through the challenges, I went through the hardship, I went through the, toughness, because it's tough. It's an uncomfortable state of mind to constantly improve the way we network. And now I love giving it to others.
Yeah, I have so many questions coming up here, but let's start with the first one, where you talked about there's hacks and methodologies to build trust faster, or hacks and methodologies for, let's say, business networking. So can you share with us some hacks? So let's say I am going to an event. I'm a person who's kind of shy. The first question would be, how do you build this confidence in yourself to go out there and network with people? And I would say the second one would be, what does it really mean to network? I mean, okay, I can get your number, but that's it. That ends the relationship. How do you sustain, contain, and maintain?
The second question, I'd like to start with the second question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because it is just so much deeper than you can imagine. What does it mean to network? You've connected with someone, maybe you even exchanged numbers. What does it actually mean? What step am I on? Exactly. Let me just step back for a second and tell you something that could be interesting for your audience. Humans tend to have fears. And we are told by many of our teachers and mentors, hey, if you have a fear, go towards it. Like, you got a fear of water. I used to have a fear of water. I went sailing. I had a fear of heights. I climbed up a pole and jumped down. We got to go towards it in order to feel the superhuman within us. If you look at the top 100 most important people in the world, the biggest fear that they have is not a similar fear that you and I have. The biggest fear that they have, number one fear, is artificial intelligence taking over. It's the number one fear. If today you Google networking, what do you get? You get computers networking. What is computers networking? Artificial intelligence. Computers networking more and more and more and more. They can come up with any answers and do anything they want. I have a belief that as humans, we need to get there. We need to get to a position where we are able to network so well that we will not be afraid of artificial intelligence anymore. And because we should go towards our fears, if people like Elon Musk and presidents of countries are saying that this is a very serious, challenge or opportunity, or problem that AI could one day take over, not tomorrow, so we're okay. But if that is a fear they have, then why should we not say, okay, maybe that's a fear. Okay, it's not my fear. But if it's a fear, maybe we should go towards it. And us going towards it, the only way we can really go towards it is becoming better at networking. Now, what is real networking? Networking has a lot of different definitions. And networking, to me, is one of the most complex human abilities that we have.
Okay.
It's an ability. It's a super ability. It's a superpower to be able to step out of the house and walk towards a human being that we don't know and ask them for advice. It's not easy. This is why a lot of men will get lost in different cities and their wives is in the car saying, hey, stop the car and ask for advice. We're lost. And the man is like, no, I'm not going to ask for advice. I don't want to talk to strangers. I want to ask for help. And it's something as simple as entrepreneurs also. Entrepreneurs don't raise their hands and ask for mentorship. Most. This is why mentorship is very much in fashion now and it's sexy. So for me, putting networking very simply is understanding how you could be useful to other human beings. What kind of a tool am I? How can I be, how can I understand what sort of a piece of a puzzle I'm in and what does that puzzle look like? So networking is really just being able to build. Again, I could get very deep with you because networking to me is very, very, very deep of spiritual energies and seeing angels around you and being able to connect with people heart to heart, opening up. And I'm able to do that when I connect with, Richard Branson, if I connect with a Tony Robbins, and I connected with these people on multiple occasions, and you got a networking with them at the highest and deepest level. And so for me, networking could be just completely being open-hearted and being ready to be serving, be ready to be resourceful for other human beings. Okay. For other people, networking could be something as simple as choosing who and why I build relationships with, what reasons I build relationships with them, and who do I build relationships with. Because networking has do I know who's in my network right now? Do I know who I need in my network right now? So do I need other people to give me happiness, to give me love, to give me business opportunities, to give me money, to give me help? Do I know how to build relationships with those people? Am I willing to go to events? Am I willing to build a profile online? Am I willing to step out of my comfort zone and start conversations? And then once you do that, am I willing to follow up? Am I willing to send them a message and be humble? And even if they don't answer me and I see that they've read my messages, I see these blue check marks and I've already sent them 2 messages, I'm not going to send them another message again. No, networking is being able to be humble and drop your ego and send them another message because they're human. Maybe they're busy with their kids. Maybe they're going through a challenging time in life. Maybe they don't know how to answer you. So networking is really being able to be mindful on who do I want to build relationships and what. And going back to your simple question, hey, I want to go to an event. What do I do? I built a whole program around networking and events, showing people the 101 different tips that you can have when networking an event. So I'd want to give you a simple answer to that one. So first of all, before you get to the event or once you walked into the event, have a why. Why am I walking to this event? Have a why, whatever it is. Don't go quietly. Don't go, oh, I'm going to be open-minded and anything the universe throws at me, I'll be happy to accept it. Sure, you could do that. But why? Like, if you can have a why, like, I'd love to meet people who would inspire me to be a more resilient entrepreneur. I'd love to meet people who have recently raised money for their business and they can give me some advice. I'd love to meet some friendly women who I share values with, and maybe I like one of them and they'll be happy to go for coffee with me tomorrow. Consider to say something to yourself, say something to God, to the universe, whatever you believe in, that would allow you to, what I believe in, to manifest the type of people you'll build relationships with. The reason I say this to people, because if we say to ourselves or to everyone else who we want to meet or why we are at this event, when we meet this person, not if, when we meet, we'll be a lot more open. We're like, hey,
Yeah.
I got my wish. This is exciting. And suddenly, because we are excited, passion will come out of us. And passion sells. Passion is the glue for networking. People love meeting people who are happy. People love meeting people who are excited. So first thing I would say is have a why when at a networking event. Second thing, have a little bit of resilience into starting conversations or engaging in conversations. There's a lot I could say about that. But it's a second, just have some tips. You can go on Google, you can watch any of my videos on, how to maintain conversations or how to start conversations, how to end conversations. It's just practice it. It's a muscle. So there is not one tip I can give you, but just doing it a few times, not one time in your life and giving up. And the third thing is the following up. Anyone you meet, I believe you meet for a reason. And when we meet someone in an event and there's a deep reason that maybe we don't see or don't understand right now, we shouldn't ignore it. We should embrace it. We should appreciate it. We should respect it. We should be grateful for it. We should be curious, like, wow, where did I meet this person? And we should then follow up. And again, following up, I have a whole book coming up next year at follow-up code. Follow-up is something that most of us, including myself, were not that strong in. So follow-up has so many different steps. But the key thing and the simple thing of follow-up, just follow up. Send one message. That's it.
I think one question I think a lot of people find challenges with. So maybe, okay, you start off with a conversation, you engage with someone, but then how do you end it? Like, how do you say, okay, I mean, let's finish this conversation and move on. I feel so many people find this challenge because, like, even when you go to even parties or events, everyone was like, I've been sitting here for I've been talking to this person for so long, I just want to leave, but I don't know how to leave. What do you think would be one tip to end the conversation, like, an efficient way to end the conversation?
Yeah, it's funny, but this is so because I've spoken in front of over 1,000 different events around the world.
Yeah.
This question tends to come up a lot with politicians. It's very interesting, actually, because some people, especially introverts, which would be like 50% of the people that we know, like myself, would find it comfortable to speak to the same one or two people the whole night because they're comfortable. Some people, like the extroverts, want to just talk, go talk to everybody, be in the spotlight. It's great. And for the introverts, that would be draining. So again, if you have a reason why you are at the event, then you have a reason to end the conversation. So I want to make sure that people understand, if you don't have a reason to be at the event, then you're allowing yourself to be stuck in a conversation you don't want to be in. You don't have a reason to leave it. You'll wait until the end of the event, usually when the other person leaves, and then you'll just be upset and complain about it, and you'll just feel negative and you'll criticize yourself and like, oh my God, I went to another networking event.
Yeah.
Well, not really. You went to another opportunity for you to meet other people and you didn't take advantage of that opportunity. But the idea of ending conversation comes up a lot, of course, and it's an exciting one for me because I used to be really, really bad at it. Now, I used to be so bad at it in the beginning that I used to, show up in events and I was like, back in the days, I'm a single guy and I'm like, okay, I really, I'm new. Like I was new in England, for example, and I came and I was like single. I was like 21 years old and I'm like, I have a good job and good looking guy. And like, okay. And I would like finally get the courage to talk to one woman and, whether it was good or not good, that's it. The courage would end there. Or I would like go to an event, even in my 30s, go to an event, some sort of a startup event. I'm trying to raise money maybe for a company. And I'm speaking to one person and he's an investor and he's got like, a VC fund or something. And I'm like, I'm excited about that. And it's amazing. And it's like, wow, what do I do next? Like, I just keep on talking to the same person, trying to pitch him and sell him everything and trying to close him that night. But I've understood over years that that's a mistake. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be in a position where we're trying to close someone that night because we're not allowing the network to flourish. We're not allowing that relationship to slowly flourish. And I've learned this from nature. I don't know how many of your listeners love nature like I do, but I have here in Bali a beautiful big garden. It's an edible garden that we have. So you can eat so many different things in my garden, from papaya and berries to like curry leaves and guta cola and like spinaches and all different yummy things. And the most beautiful thing about nature is when we plant nature, nature doesn't start by growing outwards. it starts by growing deep. It networks with other plants. So the first thing that any plant will do, it will start growing its roots fast. And we can see this as humans. And it doesn't just grow its roots to connect to the earth and feel like, hey, I feel stable. I feel grounded, you know? It doesn't. It connects to other networks. And it's then being held by other people, which is one of the reasons many people don't want to leave a conversation, because they feel held. They're like, ooh, I feel comfortable here. I built some roots with this person. I feel cozy. I want to grow with them. But wait, why are you trying to grow so quickly? No plant will grow so quickly. No farmer will ever stand over a plant and say, come on, plant, grow faster, because it doesn't see what's going on underground. And it's like one of my favorite plants is a bamboo plant. If anyone is listening right now and they want a business, bamboo plant has 14 different income streams from every bamboo shoot. It's amazing. I got bamboos growing right here in front of me. And the bamboo, when you plant it, you need to wait 4 to sometimes 5 years until anything comes out from earth. Anything. 4 to 5 years, it is growing under the earth. Once it comes out, within 2 weeks, it shoots up higher than this house.
Wow. That's so interesting.
I believe that relationships should take time. So ending a conversation comes at different levels. Number one, I want to end the conversation, but I really want to continue it tomorrow. Like, this is an interesting person. I want to follow up with them. This is great. I want to have lunch with you another day. Number two, I'm ending this conversation because I'm really hungry. I'm really thirsty. I really have to go to the bathroom. There's like an emergency, something I need. Or number three, you're a really boring person, or I have zero in common with you. There's nothing, it's okay. It's not negativity. We're not criticizing. It's just, we have no shared values. We have nothing in common. I want to talk to other people. Very simple. You know, so number one, I want to end the conversation because there's a big event and I want to respect your time because you're a busy person. I'm a busy person. I want to talk to you tomorrow. So on that number one, it'd be great to say, hey, listen, I'm loving our conversation. You could do this after maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, not more. No need more. It's almost like speed dating. Speed dating you do for 5 minutes. That's it. And if you like the person, you need to agree to meet again. If not, you move to the next person. So give yourself 5 or 10 minutes, unless it's like love at first sight, unless it's like, you know, the ideal partnership you've ever had in your life. But unless you've had a lot of experience, don't assume that one person you just met is the ultimate investor for you, unless they think that as well. So what I tell people is, say to them, wow, that was a really enjoyable conversation. I love the synergies that we have. Clearly, we share a lot within where we're going with our companies. Do you mind if I take your information and I follow up with you tomorrow? I'd love to take you out for lunch later on this week. It's something as simple as that. Do you mind if we exchange information? I'd love to read a little bit more about your company and to come back to you. Maybe we have some synergies that we can speak about further. You know, that's, I want to see you again.
Yes.
Second one is, I need to leave this conversation because I'm hungry. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm thirsty. I want to go to the bar, but I don't need to leave you. So like saying to someone, hey, listen, I'm really enjoying a conversation, but I still haven't had a chance to eat. Do you mind if we go grab a bite to eat right now? Maybe I can meet up with you later. I want to grab, you know, something to eat. Or you can say, hey, do you know maybe where the food is right now? Because I'm really, really hungry. So that person has a choice whether they go and eat with you, or like, hey, listen, I'm really have to excuse myself. I've been drinking so much great water. I got to go to the bathroom. How about we catch up later on? So it's like, you're not ending the conversation. You allow, because sometimes we're at an event and you have like maybe 3 hours in an event. Some events are like 8 hours. So sometimes you don't want to end the conversation. You want to pause it because you might see that person later. I believe in those kind of conversations because strategically, you might see that person an hour later and they're talking to 2 other people. And you can join that conversation, and suddenly that person that likes you a little bit, you start a conversation, can introduce you to those people. So I use this strategy a lot within events, especially when I show up in events where I don't know anyone. I use the strategy of showing up in an event. I don't know anyone at the event. It's a brand new country. I'll start conversations with different people. I'll turn them into my fans. So I'll add value to them. I'll make them laugh. I'll inspire them very, very quickly. and I'll end the conversation respectfully, but I'll come back to them later when I see them with other people. So suddenly I build this ambassadors army within an event. So suddenly, you have 5, 10, 20 people that could introduce you at an event where 2 hours ago, no one knew you at the event, but they're introducing you. So that's a very powerful tool. And the third one is when you don't see common connections. You don't see value. You feel that this person is just complaining. Sometimes you meet with someone, it's not that they're a bad person. They're just, maybe they had a really bad day and they're complaining about traffic and complaining about their boss. And 85% of the world doesn't like their job. So people complain about their jobs a lot. And maybe you're in a position, you don't want to do that. It's Friday afternoon. You've just finished your day. You finished a good week. You have no interest to start hearing someone complaining, or someone is just trying to sell it to you. They just want to pitch you what they do. And like, hey, I'm not here to buy. I'm just here to connect. So you could do something at any level. Okay. I'll tell you what's something I used to do. Yeah. If it's something for the people out there who are not so strong, you take your phone out of your pocket and you look at it and you're like, I'm sorry, I need to pick this up. You act like someone is calling you, like, I'm sorry, I noticed that I need to follow up with my wife. I'm sorry, I have a quick call I got to do. I'm going to see you later. And you just walk away. That's the worst thing to do. But sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes the person just keeps on talking. They don't want to let you go. Like, I'm sorry, I need to, boom. Yeah. That's for people out there who are not willing to learn how to do it more respectfully. More respectfully, and in my favorite one is you touch them on the shoulder, just a little bit, right under the actual shoulder itself, kind of on the side of the arm a little bit. It's the best way to interrupt someone without disrespecting them. If you feel comfortable, depending on the country, depending on the culture, sometimes you cannot touch. In most countries, you can just touch the shoulder a little bit and say, hey, listen, I'm really loving what you're sharing with me about your company. I'm not sure how I can help you because I'm not your ideal client, but I think that there's a lot of people at this event that for sure would love to meet you. What I'm happy to do is I'm happy to introduce you to some people throughout the evening if I meet someone. If you know someone that's currently in the marketing sphere that's looking for some new clients, I'm that person. I'm looking for some new people right now that are strong in marketing because our company is currently growing. And just to remind you, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and we need some marketing executives. So if you know someone at the event, please let me know. By the way, great meeting you. Have an amazing event, and maybe I'll see you later. So what I've done here is so much. One, you could choose to touch. It's called pattern interruption. You interrupt someone from speaking. If you touch someone, they'll stop talking. Usually, they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And it's okay to do it with strangers. Again, if there's no cultural barriers. Second thing I said is I gave them a small compliment. I think what they're saying is interesting, but it's interesting for them. It's not interesting for me. Or maybe they're speaking to you with passion. They're like, keep on talking and talking, and they're not letting you talk at all. And it happens in networking sometimes. You want to don't take their confidence away and tell them, listen, everything you've just told me is super boring. Good luck in your life. I don't like to do that. For me, I'd rather have someone leaving me feeling positive and telling them and reminding them what it is that I do and who is it that I want to meet. That way, I'm also giving them tools to feel like a hero. So potentially they can introduce me to someone and then they'll feel good. So that also gives them an opportunity to do some good karma. So you have those three options of ending conversations and moving on.
Yeah, that was so detailed, but well structured. That's awesome. I think so many people are going to find value from just that. So thank you so much.
I can give 20 other ways, and I can also break it down depending on the event. If you're at a friend's birthday, you're at a conference, because I've been in the situations that most of my clients, what they do with me, tell me, Gil, I'm in this situation. How do I step out of it? So because I've been asked to be placed in situations, I love questions like that because my mind works in a way where I know how to step into or step out of a situation.
And I also loved so much when you said go in with the why. And I've heard this a lot, but also there's this thing where it comes in your mind where like, okay, I need to have a why. Then you become so fixated on having a huge why. And then that kind of lose like, "Khalas, I don't want to do a why anymore." But when you mention it, it's like, yeah, it could be a very basic why, but just go in there with whatever why that you have, because that gives you more clarity of who you would want to meet or attract towards you in that conversation. So that's pretty
Sure.
awesome.
And if you have
Um,
a why every time, your
yeah.
why gets better and better. That's the
Mm,
key here. So if it's like, I want to meet
mm,
interesting people, if you say you want to meet interesting people at 10 different events, like, come on, you're not trying to step out of your hole.
uh,
You're happy where you are in life. And if you're happy, good for you. But if you want more opportunities, you want maybe better quality friends who want to lift you up, you want new business, ventures, you want more to meet more mentors or investors, you want to meet more loved ones.
mm,
If you want that, then you need to get better
mm, mm,
somehow, innovate,
yeah.
progress. As humans, most
100,
humans want progress. Somehow we want to move
yes,
up in
yes.
life, or we want to move to a better position. So your
Yeah.
why has to get better every time.
I think you're so spot on. You talked about progress because I was just gonna say like so sometimes we want so much all at once, but then you're like, okay, no, let's calm down and like prioritize. Like, what is it that I want now, and go in with that first. Because again, progress just gives you confidence that you're moving in the direction that makes sense for you. So I love that. And one more thing, I love this conversation, how it's going, because really that's one thing I wanted to really address. And when you say always add value, what if someone goes there like, I don't have value, like I can't really help anyone at the space that I'm in, I'm new space. What is the value that I can give to someone? And then sometimes when you feel that you don't have value to give, it shies you off from wanting to connect. So
Sure.
what is your input on this?
So again, I have multiple answers. For the
Mm,
people who want the easy answer, I'll say stay at home.
mm,
That's it. Stay at home. If you really don't want to challenge yourself to learn, you don't believe in personal development, you don't believe that you can gain value, you don't believe that you could learn something, stay at home. Good luck and see how you feel after 1 month, 1 year.
mm,
Once you get pain and sadness and loneliness, oh, trust me, you'll see your value more clearly. Yeah, because some people just want the, oh, give me the magic pill. How do I get the value? How do I start conversations? How do I get it all done? How to become a millionaire? That's
mm,
it. It doesn't come easily.
mm,
Networking didn't come easily to me. I
mm.
wasn't born with it. I had to figure it out, and I'm still a good student
Yeah.
at it. So that's really important. Like, if you really think that, oh, this is so difficult, oh, I have no value, Gil, no problem. Stay at home and see how you feel after a year, and
Mm,
see if things have gotten better in your life or not. And
mm,
some people tell me, wow, Gil, I'm super happy with, I have a great job, and I have my family, and I have 3, 4 great friends. And I'm like, hey,
yeah.
good. That's amazing. I'm happy for you. Like, my message is maybe not for you.
Mm,
My message is for people who want exponential progress.
mm,
They want to travel the world more. It's not about, I want to become a millionaire. I want twice as much money as I have right now,
mm,
or I want 5 times more money. I want to have more money so that I can build a school for my neighborhood. I want to have more money so I can help my parents. I want to have more wisdom and knowledge so I have time to learn
mm,
and study. I want to have maybe, more access to people so that I have new opportunities or
mm,
inspiration coming in. If you have those wishes, then networking is your tool.
mm,
Networking is one of those tools. It's a set of habits, it's a set of rituals that you could bring into your life. So, first of all, if you're open to this, then one of the aspects of becoming better at networking is finding self value. Of
mm,
course, one of them
mm,
is, it's a chapter in my book, it's a chapter in a lot of the speeches, and a lot of the clients that ask me for support. I tell them one of the aspects of growth is, do you think you're interesting? And most people, like you said, most people in the world don't think they're interesting enough, especially when they start comparing themselves to
mm,
people who are more interesting.
mhm,
This is what I've learned because I've been in that position.
mm,
I've been in that position probably until my mid or late 20s, where I always found myself inferior, less than others.
mm,
I'm now in a position where I'm able to sit down with CEOs of some of the biggest companies in the world, billionaires. I'm able to sit down with presidents or kings of Bali and find a common discussion where I can add value. Now, this is a very, very simple tip I'm going to say to everyone to start with there. Sit down and write down, what have you done in your life in the last 1, 2, or 3 years that anyone would find interesting? Not you, anyone. If you told a 10-year-old kid what you've done in the last 3 years, would they find any of these things interesting? If you told your grandmother what you did, would she say, wow, that's so nice? Would she find, if you told someone who lives in poverty in a third world country, if you told them what you've done in the last 1 or 2 years, like would they find that interesting? So first of all, write down what others might, not guaranteed, might find interesting about you. Because what we tend to do as humans, we tend to only look at our immediate network and we compare ourselves to people we look on social media and we're like, oh, wow, I've only been to 5 countries this year. That's so boring. My friends have been to 20 countries. Oh my God, I only have 1,000 followers on Instagram. They have 20,000. I'm not interesting. Like, we compare ourselves in very childish ways. And because of that, we always see that there's people who are better than us. So we don't understand that, hey, it's not about being better than someone to make us interesting. It's we each have our own stories. We each have our ups and downs. That's why I call excuse my language, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, my F-ups. I'm not going to say the whole world. My F-ups and up, I call them successful failures. Because I can choose to see them as a failure and what I've done wrong, and I could blame people, and like, oh my, I could cry and I lost $1 million here, and oh my God, I lost my businesses here, and COVID this and COVID that, and governments, blah blah blah. Or I could say it's a successful failure. So, because that situation happened, I was able to learn from it and grow from it, and hey, new business picked up. Or because COVID happened and COVID took 3 of my biggest businesses away, I'm more free today to spend time with my kids. I'm more free to sit on boards. I'm not stuck in an office managing people, but I can actually lead communities. So you could look at any situation and turn it around. So just try to write down some amazing things about you. And you can also flip the question around. And it's not like what's amazing about me or what people would be inspired by about me, but you can also say, what am I, or what is my mother, or what is my little brother, or what is my teacher proud of me for? And just consider, hey, if I put myself in the shoes of my teacher or my mentor or my parent, what would they list? Top 10 things they are proud of Gil for. And you can literally put yourself through the exercise, or you can take it to the next level, which is not easy for some of you. But again, some of you could just choose to stay at home and say, oh, this is so difficult. Or you could actually go and sit with your mom or your little sister or your brother or with a friend or with a parent and say, hey, I got this exercise from this guy, Gil Petersil. Can you tell me 5 or 10 things that you're proud of me for? Or 5 or 10 things that I've done that have inspired you?
Yeah.
And that is an extremely powerful networking exercise.
So I always like to end kind of my podcast in a sense where it's like, what does success mean for you? How would you define success for you personally?
So success has changed a lot for me over the years, because now I'm 43 years old. I got 3 amazing kids, and I want more kids. I've lived in some of the biggest and best cities in the world, and now I live in Bali, in a small island. I've lived in high rises and penthouses, and I live in a big, beautiful house with a big garden. Success, to me, is always coming back to that position of being able to have the time. Time is very important to do what I think is right. So spending time with my kids, I love that I have time to spend time with my kids, and I actually prioritize spending time with my kids in my calendar. It's even in my calendar. I have time to mentor others. I love mentoring companies and mentoring projects. I love it when people step out of their comfort zone, which is not easy. They step out of their comfort zone and they take the time to write me on social media and ask for help. I love that. That is the purest level of networking, learning how to ask people for help. For me, success is also being able to ask for help, being able to utilize the time that we have and understand, hey, with the time that I've been given, I won't be able to do everything by myself. There's no way. I want to do so much. Asking for help, empowering others to do this. This is amazing. The experience that we've had with my biggest teachers, having someone like Eckhart Tolle, coming to us and telling us that he wants to come to Russia. That in a way is asking for help. It's creating an opportunity for another human being to step up and say, hey, I'll do everything I can to bring you to Russia. And wow, 12 months later, we have 6,000 people in front of him in his first trip in Russia. Tony Robbins, years, 2015, I'm sitting in front of Tony Robbins at an event and I'm asking him, I really want to bring you one day. I was living in Moscow at the time, not Russian, but I was living in Moscow and we had all these business. I was like, I want to bring you there. He's like, when are you going to bring me to Russia? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to ask the right people for help. He's like, tell me, commit. I was like, 2018, you're going to come. This is 3 years before. I'm like, 2018, I need 3 years. I'll find the right people to ask for help with. And giving yourself time, not rushing for everything, giving yourself time to find the right network, to ask the right people for help, and have Tony Robbins in Russia in September 1st, 2018, with 26,000 people. I couldn't do it on my own. So that is success to me, giving ourselves the time to allocate to the network that we want and to the goals or dreams of wishes that we want to see coming into our lives.
I love that you integrated both, more something on a personal level and something also to serve others, because I feel if it's just always about serving others, then if you feel that others are not finding the value, you kind of bring it negatively on yourself. So I had that being mentioned earlier on my podcast is like with another guest talking about it's good to want to serve others, but don't like if you end up not being able to serve that person in the way that they wanted to, not to allow that to hurt you, because honestly, it can take a toll on you as well. So I love the
what you just
integration.
said is actually one of the most important aspects of networking. I don't know if you know that. What you just said is one of the most challenging part of networking, where many people believe that networking is using other people to achieve your goals, which has a lot of truth to it. You can, in order to achieve your goals, you need to use other people. Then there is a lot of the spiritual people and the religious people, and who say, hey, networking is all about serving others and giving your time to others. And Albert Einstein say a life worth living is a life in the service of others. That's like Albert Einstein said that, and so many others said that. And there's truth to both. So what you just said is so powerful, and it has to be balanced. So when I'm networking, I'm not thinking, who's going to help me? Who can I sell to? But yes, there's a little bit of thoughts. If I'm speaking to someone and this is my ideal client, I'll make sure to adjust my communication to maybe they can become my client. Yes. Don't shy away from finding people to help you. That's what God gave us. God gave us other human beings. That to me, that is the biggest gift that we've ever received. So connect with them, use them. They are tools, they are energies. Don't be shy of it. We have 8 billion people. Why are you stuck with the same 20 friends for the last 10 years? But on the other side, if you're constantly like that, people feel that. People feel this person just wants to take. He's always selling to everyone. He's always just exchanging business cards. People feel that there is something that's unauthentic there. So if you go all the way to the extreme of the other side, and I have some amazing, beautiful, spiritual, deep people who are very, very conscious people who are just about serving and making a difference and helping others, but many of them don't have any money to pay for rent at the end of the month. And that's that balance. It's that balance of, hey, you can give, but choose who do you give to. And with many of my clients, we work on networking prioritizations. So understanding, hey, who am I giving my time to? And who is giving me back my time? And it's the same thing with the plants that I was mentioning before, that the plants connect to each other under the earth. There's something I've learned, that some plants don't like each other. Because there's some plants that will take all the energy, they'll take all the water away, and this plant will just die next to it. And it's the same thing. Sometimes you show up at an event and you have a group of 4 or 5 people talking, and there's one person who's sucking all the energy to them. It happens. And the other people are just standing there listening, and they're like, oh, you're such a beautiful flower. Oh my God, yeah. But at the end of the day, I also want a little bit of attention. That's where that balance becomes, and who's got your back. And it's something I love doing with a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with. Ask them, hey, in your network, and you could do this with yourself, Ida, who's got your back? Who's in your network wants to co-elevate with you? This is something a dear friend of mine, Keith Farazi, who's actually coming to Bali next week. I'm so excited. He's coming to Bali for his first time. He's going to be here in my house next week, exactly next week. I am very, very honored and excited. I get to host him in my home. But he coined this terminology, co-elevation, where it's not about everyone in my network growing and I stay behind. Or it's not about I grow and everyone in my network is underneath me. It's we grow together. I think that's a really good part to have a networking goal, is to build this community around you of people that want to co-elevate with you. You grow, they grow. Sometimes even in our family, my wife and I, we co-elevate all the time. Some months she makes a lot more money than I do. Hey, great, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. Some months, I want to just chill. I don't want to work too much because I'm going through an internal process and I need some more time to decide who I want to serve and why am I doing so much. And it's great to have those type of relationships around our lives, whether it's a coach that's holding your hand and pushing you up. I love sometimes pushing people up as a coach, or sometimes as a mentor. I love people reaching their hand up and me coming in and pulling their hand out, because many people find themselves overwhelmed with networking because human beings completely change how we feel. And many times people feel like in a dark place. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by network. And what I tell people, again, I go back to plants. When you plant, take a seed and put it in the ground, that seed, if we choose to understand that it's alive, it is alive. We eat it, it's alive. That seed could go, oh my God, I'm in the dark. I've been buried. Life is over. Which many humans do. They freak out. They get overwhelmed. I'm in the dark place, everything. Or they could say, wow, I've been planted. I got to now network. I got to connect. I got to open up. I got a new ground here. I got to pull in some energy from the sun. I got to slowly get my leaves out there and say hello to the world. So everyone's got to choose, what kind of a plant they want to be within the garden that's around them and how they want to nurture their own garden. And if they need help, they come to me and they ask me for help to build a garden, nurture a garden, set up new gardens around the world. And all of those turn into opportunities, relationships, and whatever else people want.
Where should people find you? Is it Instagram your main source?
Yeah, I'm the only Gil Petersil on Google. So if you Google my name and you can't find me, that is really you not flexing your muscles, your networking muscles enough. Connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn if you want immediate answers, because we'll answer you right away. If you want to ask for me specifically, so my team will answer you right away. If you want to ask for me, ask for something concrete. If you ask me for a really good question, you'll actually get my voice message and it's me. And that's what I always tell people. If you're just saying, hi, Gil, where can I find your book? Or like, hey, can you give me a tip about where can I find an event in my city? It's not going to be me because I get 100 of those a day. But if you ask me something a little bit more concrete that you feel, this is a question from the heart, Gil, you're going to get my voice message at least 1 minute because I believe in the power of one.
I just want to say again, thank you so much for your time. And for everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed this. I really did enjoy it so much. And I really hope you all have an amazing, awesome rest of your day.